to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
Conversations, just wondering what his future were in terms of, like, is he going to play again? Are we going to see him in a Caps uniform again? And it's nice. It's really nice to know that we are going to see him again shortly.
It's just the very short order, right?
And more dishes to Ovi as he pursues the record. So that's really good news.
But yeah, here we are. Another start to 2023 and a couple of, I don't know.
They lost 9 of their last 10.
I don't know how to say this anymore because it's just we're so jaded by how this season's gone.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel like I'm jaded anymore.
You're just used to it.
Yeah, I'm kind of just
like
here
this,
like they lost again.
Just like, all right, old hat.
Here's
Cool.
the thing though, like you get to a point where, you know, of course I want to see the team win. Of course I do. It's what I care about. But like, you're not going to the playoffs. You have no shot. So, and I'm not saying like, oh, I want them to lose every game the rest of the way.
No,
but
don't
God,
probably don't pull the shoot that hard, right?
It doesn't help you to win games right now.
Not right now.
Would have helped you to win games in, you know, October, November, and December. But here you are in January. Shit. Keep doing what you're doing, I guess.
I guess. Well, sure. But I don't know. There's interesting guys we can still talk about and what have you.
As we try to crap out yet another Kepi.
Kepi Keepers by DraftKings Sportsbook. We're going in to the All-Star selections. We're going to talk about All-Stars later. You know, January, we're hitting dog days for everybody at this point. But there's still fun stuff you can bet on with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NHL. And if you sign up, new customers put $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win, and you get $150 in free bets if you do when you sign up using the promo code THPN. Obviously, you have your same game parlays.
And I have a fun story about a same game parlay.
That's our favorite thing to do.
It is.
Right?
Would you like to hear it?
Go for it.
So, just an example for you guys, for any of you Blue Jackets fans. The season sucks right now.
Oh,
but you know what doesn't suck?
Making
money. And last game, with one of my free bets, one of my free $25 bets, I did using DraftKings,
using
THPN. I happened to get a 3-leg parlay to hit. I did 3 legs, baby. I got Alex Ovechkin anytime goal scorer over 7.5 for total goals. It was 6-2, so we got 8.
There you go.
And I picked Capitals money line. So my free $25 bet turned into $118 in my account.
Jeez, man.
That is.
I know, because like I thought you would just
money.
bet. I thought you would just bet on the Ovi goal. I didn't realize you had
3 legs, baby. Oh no, are you kidding me? I saw Elvis was starting, and I was like, I am hitting the over on goals.
You're like, okay, here we go.
Because I was always picking Caps money line, but when I saw that Elvis was in that, I was like, oh, there's going to be some goals tonight.
This is going to be crazy. But yeah, Ohio, now that we can do this, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win. Not Columbus.
Or maybe you do Columbus, because $5 on Columbus and they actually win might actually make you a lot of money.
And you get $150 in free bets if they do, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with the code THPN.
Here, let me show you tonight. Okay, $5.
Hang on.
Sorry.
21 plus, obviously. We've got all our age and other disclaimer things in the description below. All right, go ahead.
$5 on the Blue Jackets to win tonight. Money line, just straight up. wins you $19.50.
just to play the Hurricanes.
Yes.
Now, you deferred in our rock, paper, scissors coin toss.
I did.
So you're leading off
Okay.
this time.
So according to this is a new one. I don't believe I've given a Kepi to this player this year. Okay.
Probably not.
But
there are a lot of guys that haven't deserved anything.
Yeah. So
Really?
interestingly, I'm looking at moneypuck.com to look at expected goals for in the game. Okay.
Today against Carolina?
No,
This-
in the previous game against Washington.
Okay, got it.
So the top 3 players in the game, the top 2 were Capitals. It was TJ Oshie at 1.25 and Alex Ovechkin at 0.66. Okay.
Right.
But number 1 on the Blue Jackets and third in the game with 3 shots on goal and some, decent looks. He got 15.46% of Columbus Blue Jackets expected goals in the game, which wasn't very much. Even though he didn't have a point, he was visibly good in that game. I'm going to give it to Carson Meyer.
Hey, the Buckeye boy.
Yeah.
Good for Carson. Good little shout out to him.
Yeah, it's getting bad here.
Well, I mean, it's just like, we talk about there was the stretch earlier in the year where the fourth line was the best line, and for good reason. They looked like a second line for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
Right? But then we got to a point where Larson was giving all the kids kudos, but he wasn't playing the kids. He was still playing, 50 and 7 and 24, way more often than he should have. And now they kind of have to play more because they're the third line. Right?
Absolutely.
So now your fourth line is any combination of Foods and Carson and Marchenko. God forbid why. Like, seriously, play the kid more.
Yeah.
And whoever, like Olivier and whoever you just want to slot in there. Cole's played fourth line center at points, and it's just like, are we really doing it like this?
Suppose so.
Like, I get sheltering kids, but at the same time, let the kids play.
I don't.
There's
when you're a
a
team
line to cross, and you need to cross that line now.
When you're a team that literally has no shot at going to the playoffs, I will never understand why you don't just play your kids.
Yeah. I don't get it either. It's really, really dumb. The coaching decisions are getting to a point where it's just like, why are we even here? Why are we here anymore?
I said this to my mom last night because we were talking about Brad, and he has done such a bad job that is frankly why I believe he's keeping his job, because Connor Bedard is so damn good. This draft class is.
We'll talk about Connor.
It doesn't behoove you to win games right now, as I said earlier. So why fire a guy who's losing you games in a draft class like this?
I guess.
I don't like it.
It's like.
And let's make no mistake about this, Jake. This team isn't tanking right now. They're bad on accident.
Yes.
But the bad on accident needs to lead to tanking the rest of the season.
It's
because you don't want to be good on accident now and screw up your draft pick.
No, and it's to a point where I say pull the chute, but like, how far do you pull the chute? Right? It's like, because the Blues went through it. The Rangers went through it with a statement. The Leafs have gone through it.
Yeah.
It's weird to be in this position after just being mediocre and then having gone on playoff runs.
Yeah.
And what we've been spoiled with over the last little while, right?
Yeah. It's funny because I don't know how much things would have changed if you just changed one moment in history, but I'm not entirely sure that them making the playoffs in the bubble was the best thing for them.
Well, the bubble was weird, and we can talk about that.
We can talk
about that after I get mine wrapped up, but
yeah, you go.
I'm gonna give it to another guy that, like, again, We're shouting out guys that normally wouldn't.
Yeah, we try to give credit to guys who maybe get overshadowed sometimes. Like, we could come into this every single game, and just be like, we're giving it to Johnny again.
We're giving it to Johnny. We're giving it to
he's our
Patty.
best player. Yeah. We're giving it to Zach Werenski when he's healthy. Like, it's easy, right? But
we're giving it to Jonas when he has a good game.
Part of the reason that we do this is because we want to shout out the players who that's kind of the whole reason we do it, to be honest.
When they have moments, we need to recognize those moments, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
and
absolutely.
That's why I'm giving it to one of our couple goal scorers against Washington, Gavin Bayreuther,
yeah.
Seattle legend.
Seattle legend.
Seattle Spiders.
I had a feeling you were going to go in that direction. It's funny. He was almost a 2-time scorer in that game.
No, and then they of course they call it off for offsides because that's just what happens with this team all the time.
All the time. One of my biggest issues with this team. Good Lord, they are never onside. Ever.
I even tweeted it from our show's account. I was just like, oh my God, we have 2 goals from Gavin Bayreuther who bet the over on that. And then they waved it off and I was just like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gavin deserves his cookies, and
he deserved 2 of them, actually.
He did. And then let me just get this as we're coming out of this. Happy birthday to the 4x4 man. Happy birthday to Eric and Branson. For sure. Sorry your party's so lame, Goody, but hey. Come on, man. Dude, what?
Nothing. God, I can't. Yeah, we have 3 more years of this after this one's over.
Hey, we also get 3 more years of Patrick Laine. So
I guess. Look on the bright side.
And we get 6 more years of Johnny Gaudreau.
I appreciate your half-class full approach.
I mean, one of us has to try. Yeah. Right?
You have more energy to try than I do.
I guess. I mean, I have to put all my energy into the actual production of the show too.
And I think that's where your energy comes from. Is you're the one
is like actually putting it all together.
I gotta at least be positive about this. What am I gonna do? Put all my energy into a podcast talking about a team I'm pissed at?
That's the thing with this team. Okay. So we'll talk about, because the deadline is March 3rd. The trade deadline is March 3rd. So we have a little under a couple of months. A little
under 2 months, yeah.
And we'll talk about options that we can, that this team can utilize as sellers. The biggest one being Vlad Gavrikov. Let's just start with him.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we both really want to keep this guy.
I don't.
Not anymore?
Not anymore, no. His play has dropped off. His value's still high.
Well, they're asking...
Probably not going to get him on a contract that you like.
They're asking a 1st and a 3rd.
That's fine. I'll deal with that. I like that. I can live with that.
That's what Yarmo's asking for.
He'll get it. A team that needs a defenseman will give that up.
Oh, sure. And obviously, Vlad, he's had great moments with this team.
Great moments. And he's had fantastic seasons with this team. He was great last year.
He was awesome when he came into the bubble.
Yeah, he was good the year before that. Really good in the bubble. That season, he filled in because you lost a little bit on your defense. So he was huge. I don't want to minimize what he's done, and I acknowledge that I've said in the past that I wanted to extend him and that I was fine with the money, but frankly, the play in the last few months have dropped off to a point where I just don't think it's worth it. The team, the quality of the team right now, the state of the team, it's just not worth it. It doesn't make sense.
It's still just it's one. Bad on accident is such a nightmare.
It is. It's an absolute nightmare.
Because it's just like, what do we do as fans? I get that we can just turn it off. We can watch something else, whatever. There's options out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, pay more attention to the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big option. Pay attention to Czech and his band of merry men.
I'll say one thing about this, okay? The one thing that gives me hope about the Blue Jackets right now, every time they've been bad on accident, they've almost immediately followed it up with a little bit of sustained success.
Right.
The 11-12 season was an absolute, that's the definition of bad on accident. You went out and you traded Jakub Voracek and a ton of picks to get Jeff Carter. And you did it to give Rick Nash a number 1 center. You went out, they signed Vinny Prospel and James Wisniewski and all these guys.
Oh, I miss Wiz.
Yeah, I loved Wiz. He was a great jacket. And they did it, 100% in mind of we want to get back to the playoffs. And it was a nightmare. It was an absolute disaster. And, sure, they picked Ryan Murray 2nd overall. It didn't pan out the way that they had hoped, but they followed it up by they were a point away from making the playoffs in 12-13. Bobrovsky won the Vezina, and then the next year they were in the playoffs. The 15,
and that was when we all got together.
Yeah. And then the 15-16 season, they go out, they trade for Brandon Saad. They're trying to bolster the roster as much as they can. And it's a nightmare. They start 0-8. They have to fire Todd Richards.
Torts comes in.
And they immediately follow that up. They draft Pierre-Luc Dubois 3rd overall, and they immediately follow it up with making the playoffs 4 straight years.
Right.
So that is the one thing that I'm relatively hopeful about right now.
Is that next year is somewhat more of a jump?
There's only one way to go. And they've proven in the past that this is something that they can do. And they've done this under Jarmo's tutelage. Right?
Right. And I mean, you said you're going to give him till the end of this contract, which is after 25, right?
Yeah, because
we talked about his term.
It gives him more than enough time to see how Tarasov develops and to see how his next head coaching hire goes. And whether if it's Tarasov panning out or if he makes a move and gets another goaltender who pans out, or if he just goes out and gets a good coach, that can save his job and give him an extension. Those are the two main things. We've seen that he can build a forward group. We've seen that he can build a defensive group.
Yes.
The two things that I'm curious about is how good is this guy at hiring a coach, and how good is he at getting a goaltender? He hasn't proven to me that he can get a goaltender. And frankly, the Torts hire was great, but he followed it up immediately by getting Brad Larson. And I'm not going to lie, that move alone almost kind of wipes out the credibility of the Torts move. It's one thing to miss on a coach. This was a whiff and a half.
Well, part of me gets having faith in Lars with how long he'd been in the organization.
Understanding that there was a rapport with the players. I get that.
To a point, right?
There's something to be said in sports, though, about, you have to be good at the X's and O's. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we talk about how important it is to manage a locker room in any sport.
Yeah.
Being able to relate to your players, being a good motivator, keeping a good culture. But how many coaches are there out there who aren't very good at the one specific thing that they do as an assistant and go on to be a successful head coach? In any sport. Do you ever see a crummy defensive coordinator or a crummy offensive coordinator go out, become a head coach for some reason just because they're a nice guy and everybody likes them, and then all of a sudden they're a great coach?
Not really.
How often are we seeing assistants who run, dog water power plays go on to be great head coaches. You're telling me the guy who couldn't run your power play for years took over as head coach and your power play still stinks?
I mean,
Oh,
that happens every
that
once.
stunned me, Jake. That I am taken aback by that.
That happens every once in a blue moon.
Right?
I mean, Andrew Brunette happened.
Andrew Brunette, right now, he takes over in Florida. They win the President's Trophy. He darn near wins the Jack Adams. He goes to New Jersey as an assistant, and look at what they're doing on the power play. Look at how good they are in transition.
Yeah, look at the Devils' power play and just how wild it is.
They've changed so much about that Devils team and using their speed and skill, playing off the rush. They're such a good hockey team, and it's because he's a really good coach. And I know he's not the head coach, but God, Lindy Ruff, you better believe that he's listening to Andrew Burnett and using his ideas and putting them into action. That's it right there, Jake. I'm telling you right now. Yarmo saves his job tomorrow if his replacement for Brad Larson is Andrew Burnett.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else is like on the trade block for us. Because we know Gavi is the number one.
He's the number one. Another guy who could potentially be, we talked about, last year, potentially again, it could be Jonas Corposalo.
Could be Jonas. Yeah.
It could be a scenario where you get a draft pick for him. You keep Elvis up, obviously, because he's not going to the minors, and you just keep Tarasov up and you give him reps.
And we've seen that as Tara's gotten reps, he's gotten better.
He's fantastic.
Like he looks great. He looks good.
Are absolutely there.
It's just everybody in front of him doesn't.
Really hard to sustain success when you're facing 35 plus shots a night.
Yeah.
And the other Gus Nyquist. I love Gus.
Yep. I love him to death. He was, one of the guys that said, "Hey, I want to come here."
Yeah, in the midst of an off season where you lost Bobrovsky and Panarin, he said, "I want to come here," and I think he's lived up to his contract. I think he's been good, but the question is now, like, what's his value? I'm sure a lot of teams could probably use a Gus Nyquist in their middle six. How many teams or playoff teams can afford to take on his contract? You got to retain at least half of it.
Good middle six penalty killer, got a lot of speed.
Yep. That's the thing. You can use him on your second power play unit. You can use him on your PK unit.
He's a shorthanded king.
Shorthanded king, yeah.
Wow.
He's one of those fun players where his underlying defensive metrics are pretty terrible, but his penalty kill metrics are really good.
Are just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And every time it's always fun whenever Goose gets loose.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just watch the way those plays develop. And it's just, I don't know, it's always fun.
Yeah, he's a fun player. I like his game a lot. I've loved what he's brought to this team. I've got absolutely no issues with him in his 10 years of Blue Jacket. And if we do move him, I wish him the best of luck. I hope he gets a chance to potentially win that first ever Stanley Cup in his career.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the big question. It's more about, I think it's less about the Blue Jackets going to trade Gus, and it's more about who can take him on, who can afford him, what are they willing to give up,
and doing right by your guys.
Yeah, doing right by your guys is significant.
Because we always know, like, Dubas is one of those general managers that always tries to do right by his players, whether you're selling them or not.
Capitals
always do right by their guys.
I think model organization when it comes to doing right by their players.
A lot of what we consider to be the model organizations do that. The Penguins do that a lot.
Yep. Absolutely.
The Lightning always do that. They find places for these, pieces that they don't necessarily need anymore. And the Kings, another one.
Kings, they've had Quick forever. They had Dustin Brown forever. It's crazy. You think about that Kings team that won 2 Stanley Cups. So many of those guys lifelong Kings. Dustin
Yeah.
Brown never played for anybody else. Anze Kopitar's never played for anybody else. Jonathan Quick, Drew Doughty.
Yep.
A lot of those really great players are going to be Kings for life. And that's them doing right by their players.
You mentioned something earlier when we were starting Kepis. And I want to wrap some of that, and then we'll talk about World Juniors a bit and how our guys did.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that the bubble probably wasn't great.
Yeah.
Long term.
Yeah.
Can you go in on that? Like,
the reason I say that the bubble wasn't great is because when they made the bubble, they were not a playoff team at that point in time.
Right. You guys have to remember that, like, the way the bubble worked was you went from 16 teams to 24.
Yes.
And there was this whole round robin thing and a play-in tournament. And like Columbus was a 9 seed.
They were 9 seeds because they weren't a playoff team at that point. Now, who knows? If COVID doesn't happen, maybe the Jackets continue to rally and they make the playoffs.
Because they were on a heater before the pause.
So they were on a heater in January and for the first part of February, if I'm remembering correctly. They had some injuries, but they were winning games because they were calling guys up. They were playing that absolute scratch your eyes out defensive style of hockey, winning games 2-1, 3-2, and whatnot.
Torch just grinding everybody down.
I want to say the last few games before the season stopped, they went cold. And teams started to catch up. It became apparent that this team probably wasn't going to make the playoffs, even though they're a great story. And then everything stops.
The pause happens. Yeah. Players get time to recover.
Your whole roster got healthy. Your whole it was like the first time all year that your entire defense.
That you had healthy. Everybody.
You had Werenski and Jones. You had Gavrikov and Savard. You had Ryan Murray and Marcus Nudavara. It was a really, really good defense.
Murray and Nudavara is your third pair.
They were
really solid third pair.
Yeah, at that point in time, fantastic third pair. You had, Jonas Korpisalo in the midst of his best career. He's back and healthy. Elvis Merzlikins was breaking out towards the end of that season.
Yep.
He's healthy. Dubois, Atkinson, those guys are healthy. Gus Nyquist, I believe, was healthy at that point too.
Gus was, he was fine. You brought up Liam Foudy on an emergency basis.
Yeah, and you let him play in the bubble because it wasn't going to affect his status or anything like that, and he could. And you went all out. And don't get me wrong, it was fun beating Toronto. It was fun being able to make jokes. It was nice going back to the playoffs again. And even though they lost in 5, it was a relatively close 5-game series.
Yes, especially games. Because games 4 and 5 were complete mirrors of each other.
Because game 1
blowing 3-0 leads.
Yeah, against Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah, so games 3 and 4, the Blue Jackets come back from 3-0 down. They win that series. They win that game. The Maple Leafs come from 3-0 down, win game 4, and then game 5, we won
2-0, I think, right? 2-0.
3-0. 3-0 because Liam Foudy scored to make it 2-0 on that weird goal. Gavrikov had the first, and then Foligno had an empty netter.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, funny enough, you had 2 shutouts from Korpisalo that series, game 1 and game 5.
Yeah.
And then you go on against the Lightning. You have that marathon game that was really fun. You lose that one.
Can we talk about where we were at that point? Like just witnessing that?
I was first day back up in Buffalo because I had to go back to school early, like 2 weeks earlier than everyone else because I was out of state. So what I had to do is I had to move back into my place and I had to quarantine there for 14 days.
Yikes.
And then take COVID tests to make sure that I was good to go so I could live in the place that I was at. So I'm there unpacking my stuff and I'm setting up my TV, but I get my laptop hooked up to the Wi-Fi, and I'm just watching the game as I'm unpacking things. And around the end of the second overtime, I'm like, is this game ever going to end?
Right.
Little did I know.
I remember I was working. I was like about to get, I think I was about to get out of my shift when the game was starting, right?
Yeah.
I get back home. I was still living with my parents at this point, and I remember just like the game's going, we're watching. We thought it was going to be over by, like 6 or whatever.
It was, I want to say, a 2 or a 3 o'clock game.
It was a 3 o'clock game. It was a 3 p.m. game. It was a 3 p.m. game.
The next game
is
Bruins Hurricanes, and it was supposed to start at 7 or 7:30.
Yes, and this game didn't end until what a normal 7 o'clock game would end at, which was like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
It was crazy.
I remember
ridiculous.
I remember it was like the third overtime starts, and my mom and my stepdad are like, they're still going, and then the fourth overtime starts, and they're like, they're still going, and now they're like glued to the TV. They're getting invested in this, just like, whoa!
I remember because my buddy,
because at the same time they had a show they wanted to watch.
Oh yeah, because it interrupted everything. I remember, like, my buddy Bryant is a huge Bruins fan. And I'm watching this thing, and I get a text from him because they canceled that game.
Right, and they had
to postpone it to tomorrow, and he texted me. He was like, "Thanks a lot, Dick."
I know. I'm pretty sure I got some stuff from Timbo with that too, because he's a Canes. They're a Canes fan.
Yeah, it was just.
So it was just like, wow.
It was really funny. It was really fun. Don't get me wrong. I don't. Those moments aren't lost on me.
The bubble
they came back. They
won
game
two.
Situation, and they darn near won game 5. They were up by 2 late, and they just couldn't finish it off. It would have been nice to see them push it to 6. Who knows? Maybe what happens. But as fun as it was, it forced you to hold on to Torts for another year that you didn't need to.
Right.
When it was very apparent that it was the end. He even said it himself. He went to Yarmo and he said, I think this is it. This is the furthest that I can take this team. We need to change. That is one of my biggest criticisms, I think, as of right now for Yarmo. Not just in the sense that he hired Brad Larson, but in the sense that he could have made a move earlier on Torts when Torts came to him and told him that it was time. Right. And he didn't do it, and the next season was an absolute disaster. I understand they weren't in an easy division, in that realigned division. But I'm not saying a new coach takes them to the playoffs or anything like that, but he mismanaged the start of what should have been the retool. And as a result, it has developed into a rebuild.
He definitely delayed the inevitable.
He did. And he didn't need to. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy with Kent Johnson.
Of course.
We made it to the bubble, and as a result, we had a later pick, but it turned into Yegor Chinikov, who I still have a lot of hope for.
I'm happy with the Cole pick, despite his struggles this year. He's having his typical struggles, right? Like every second year.
I'm not concerned about Cole. He's 19 years old. He's in his second year in the league. Sophomore slump.
I'm more concerned with the way he's being utilized.
Yes, that's more of a concern than anything. Is, man, he's not using any of the kids right.
No.
So would it be great to see him produce more? Of course it would be. Would it be great to see a little bit more production out of Kent Johnson? Yeah, but I'm not concerned about these guys. I'm concerned about how they're being used.
Don't be a hypocrite. Don't, and like yes. I'm being as blunt with this as I can be.
Yeah.
To go out there in the media And we've said this point before because this was weeks ago.
Stop talking about how good the kids are playing if you're playing them 7-8 minutes a night.
He said this weeks ago. He was like, the kid line with Marchenko and KJ and Cole
It was our best line.
Was our best line.
Really? Interesting. What are you doing? Are you arresting them? Or you're trying to save them so they can score a whole bunch of goals when you're down by 4 late in the third period?
He played them 10 minutes.
It's ridiculous.
And he still played Robbie Corrali, Olivier 15.
Don't get me wrong. That line, you get a lot out of it. You get.
They have chemistry. I get it. They're fine.
They have chemistry. They're physical. They do some of the things that you like your fourth line to do. There's no reason that they should be getting over 11 minutes in a game ever, Jake. Ever.
Yeah, I know.
Ever. And forget about over 11. They're getting over 13 constantly.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are we doing here? Unless this is a genuine tank and he's actually trying to help this team lose games. That's the only explanation that you can give. But I don't think that's the truth. I don't think that's what he's doing. I think he just sucks at his job.
You have a 19-year-old center that you want as your second line guy.
Yes.
You have a 20-year-old that can play both center and wing.
Who a huge amount of the future of this franchise kind of lies in this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you have a 22-year-old winger that you've been waiting on for years, Jay.
Yeah. You're this guy in 2018. You've been waiting a while for this guy.
And he's fantastic.
He's everything I was hoping he would be.
The Marchenko show, baby. Come on.
I love his game. I love just visually watching him play. He is what I was hoping he would be.
So much fun. He's such a good kid.
Yeah.
God. Put them together on a line. You put 91 on the left. You put 86 on the right.
Mm-hmm.
You put 34 in the middle. And you run those horses.
Or you could put them on a line together and play them 7 minutes a night. Man, I love the way that Gaudreau, Line and Jenner looked last night, but we played Olivier, Corrali, and Robinson 17 minutes.
or substitute 96 for 38. I don't care. Like,
oh, the only reason
no, I know there's the injury, but that's what I'm saying.
Right, you substitute those two, and oh god, and you mentioned 96. He's another guy that I would throw in that trade
potential
category.
Sell.
I don't know what his value is, but let me tell you something. If you can get a late first for that guy,
late first, early second, maybe.
Yep. See ya. Bye.
Sure.
Not mad at the guy.
No, he's a great guy, and being a local kid, we love that.
Yeah, and I'm not mad at him. You know, he's inconsistent. He's been frustrating at times, but I understand the player he is. But frankly, it's another situation. If you can get a good return for him, no question, you do it. Because
25th, he's a 25th overall pick. He's a late first rounder. He's like
he's got little term left.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. What is you signed him for $4 million. What is his next deal going to look like if it's going to be more?
Right.
I don't want to pay that for someone who's as inconsistent as he is. I like the player, but if I can get a good return for him, I'm not even questioning it. Not for a second.
Yeah. I don't know anymore, man. I don't know.
Not to mention, he hasn't solved your issues at center.
No.
Because you never know where you're going to play him. He's at center one game. He's on the wing the next.
Exactly. And we've belabored that point way too many times.
And we keep belaboring it because it keeps coming up.
We don't have bona fide centers. The two bona fide centers we've been playing in the bottom six. One because he's normally a bottom six guy, and the other one
because
play him on the second line. What are you doing?
Cole and Sean are your only bona fide centers.
If I don't see 34 as a consistent second line center within the next 2 months,
I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to happen unless he's fired.
I'm getting so frustrated seeing him play 3, just. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired, Jay. It's wow.
I'll say this. And people are going to disagree with me on this. I'm aware of it. They're not going to do it at the deadline. I know for a fact that they're not going to do it at the deadline. And I don't think they're going to do it. But this is just me personally speaking.
Okay.
There are only 2 untouchables on this team. Werenski and Gaudreau.
Only 2.
Only 2. Loved that he signed a 4-year deal. I do like the player. Patrick Laine is not untouchable in my eyes.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. As much as I hate,
I'm not saying you do it. I'm just saying if a team comes to you with an offer you can't refuse,
right?
He's not untouchable. I'm not shopping him. I'm just not hanging up the phone.
Right.
Because, and it's less about like we know what the kind of player he is. He's not going to play defense. I'm fine with that. I don't care. That's just the player he is. I can live with that 100%.
You don't need him to play defense.
No, you don't. But that's not what he does. And like we talked about this a million times last season. Stop trying to make a Bugatti into a Ford, right? You know,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Just let him be himself, okay? But my biggest issue with him, health.
Yes, health is a big concern.
Health is the biggest factor in it, more than anything. I can get over his faults as a player, but hard to call him untouchable when he has been out as many times as he's been.
Yeah, and that's just been really unfortunate circumstances, since he got here.
Yeah. And I'm willing to be patient because some of it's been COVID, some of it's been. It's never like a nagging injury.
No, it's never It's always something a little different.
But at the same time, that was kind of the deal with Ryan Murray, wasn't it?
A little bit. Yeah,
so
piece by piece.
Yeah. You know, it's always concerning when an injury keeps coming up, like a knee injury or concussion issues, stuff like that. But there's also a concern when it's a whole bunch of different things.
I know this is a little bit different, but we're also forgetting that ONT-CA should be back next year.
Yes. And I'm excited about that. It sounds to me like from what Porcelain has said that it's not just going to be he's returning to the NHL. Like he's returning to Columbus next year.
Yes, he's here to stay.
I'm excited about that. And it sounds like Dmitry Voronkov is going to be coming over.
Voronkov's going to try. Yep.
He's not going to make an immediate impact on this team. He's probably going to do the Marchenko route where he goes to the AHL probably for the first half of the season. And if they like what they see, they'll bring him up. I'm excited about him. I'm hoping that he could provide an answer. Maybe he is the other piece to being like he's your other Corrali in the sense that he is your other guaranteed total center in the bottom 6.
Well, that can help you push Cole up.
Yes, absolutely. And so would a Roslovic trade.
Right.
Because you're freeing up that spot.
Yeah. I'm so frustrated with the deployment of 34 in particular.
His is the most egregious.
Wow.
Him and KJ's are the most egregious. It's not even close.
No, it's
not
terrible.
Even remotely close.
It's absolutely awful. But let's get to some good news. The Czechia conglomerate.
Dude,
these kids were awesome.
The best moment of this season for the Columbus Blue Jackets outside of, and when I say season, I'm not including off season, so I'm not including Gaudreau and Laine and whatnot.
That's fair.
The best hockey that's been played by the Blue Jackets all year long has been by Czech in the World Juniors.
These kids are wilding out there. They had a hell of a tournament.
So I'll say this, okay? Everyone's attention, rightfully so, is being focused on David Jiricek and how unbelievable he is.
Unreal shot, unreal size.
Jake.
Stanislav Svozil.
Yes, we need to be paying more attention to him. I no idea at the time why he wasn't a late first round pick. I have no idea why he slipped in the draft, but we picked him 69th overall. Nice.
Nice. And can you pull up their junior stats? Can you go ahead and do that? And Rice Savvy too. We need to give Rice Savvy his cookies too.
Yeah, 7th round pick. Got a little bit of potential there, right?
Yeah.
So let's see here.
First of all, I want to give a congrats to Canada because, I mean, of course.
Stunner. Can't believe they did it. Congratulations to Underdog Canada for pulling it off.
Dylan Gunther, man. That is a player. That is such a player.
Okay, so with the Regina Pats. Interesting. Don't know if you saw this. Connor Bedard called him his best friend. So in the World Juniors, okay, Stanislav Svozil in 7 games, a goal and 7 assists.
8 points in 7 games.
With the Regina Pats this season, in 28 games, 5 goals, 32 assists for 37 points. Projected stats.
You gotta keep in mind that that he's a defenseman.
Yes. If he stays on this pace, Jake, his projected WHL stats for Regina would be in 57 games, he would have 10 goals and 65 assists for 75 points.
Oh boy.
And he would finish at a let's see.
Wasn't he Czechia's captain this year too?
Yeah, he was. He was. Yeah.
He's just wow. And I try to pay more attention to Svo just because, dude, come on, look at his name.
It's a great name.
It's a great name.
It's a very underrated name. I will 100% give you that.
And shout out to our boy Svoboda, because they're both so good at what they do.
I so desperately want to be mad at that, but it was too creative and too good for me to be that. That was easily in your top 3. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
you
like that.
Really I am shamefully a big fan of that one.
Shamefully.
Yes, I can't stress enough how shameful it is, but I am a fan of that one.
No, because Jeff was, covering these guys left, right, and center as he should.
Yeah.
And I've made that joke a couple of times during the tournament at him.
Really?
He enjoyed that. But yeah, it's just what a name this kid has, and what seriously, that's one that you got to remember.
Yes.
1 for just the name alone, and 2 for how good he is.
Well, here's the other thing that I'm excited about him is we have some really good up and coming defensive prospects, right? So we've got obviously Jiricek, we've got Coleman's,
yep,
we've got Matachuk. What I'm excited about him and Matachuk is their left-hand shots, and that's what we're going to need, especially if we do trade Gavrikov. I think that's part of the reason you trade Gavrikov, because you look at the left side and you see, well, we got Svozil coming up soon. We've got Matachuk coming up soon. Those are 2 guys behind Werenski who can really make an impact.
I'm trying to think, just if we're gonna plot this out, right? Z, Svo, Matachuk.
Yeah.
On your left. And then on the right, something like Boakvist and Coolman's and Goody if he's still here, I guess. Jiricek when he's ready.
Marcus Bjork, maybe?
Bjork? Yeah, if you want to keep Bjork.
You got Blankenberg, you've got
like I said, Jiricek is on his way.
Yeah. I feel like there's someone we're missing.
It's weird, because I said
Who'd you mention?
I said Corson.
Corson, Matacek,
Yeah. Yurchek.
Yurchek, Golemans.
Yep. Well, I said
You mentioned
that's
Peak?
Oh, Peaker. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Peak.
didn't mention Peaker.
Yeah, Peak, Boakfist. They've got options. I'll say this. They got options.
And at least he's focused on the right side too, because that's like your more coveted side.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But like, I just shout outs to all three. Can you pull up all three of their stats? Like, let's take a look at these kids. Like
For
the three Czech boys, for juniors.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Because they all had, like, I know Yurchek had himself a hell of a tournament too.
He's ridiculous all tournament long. So here, let me give you his stats in the AHL as well while we're at it.
Well, because wasn't Yurchek named one of the defensemen of the tournament?
Yeah, so he was an alternate captain in 7 games. He had 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points.
Points per game tournament.
In 19 games in the AHL, he's got 5 goals, 15 assists for 20 points. He is the most. I saw this the other day. He is the most productive under the age of 20 defensemen the AHL has seen in probably 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. If he plays the rest of the season in the A and doesn't miss a game, he'll finish with 61 games. He'll finish with 16 goals and 48 assists.
Wow. He's a noted Alan Walsh client.
He is. I'm glad that he was able to recover after losing his stuff at the airport.
Yeah. That was such a weird story.
So for Savvy, 2 goals and 9 assists, 11 points in 21 games with the Moose Jaw Warriors. Goal and 2 assists in 7 games for Czechia.
And what's his position? Like, where was he normally playing?
Left wing.
Left wing?
Yeah.
Probably like bottom, middle 6 left wing.
He'll be a bottom 6 left wing.
Got it. So not too bad for
But he
Martin
can play
either.
either side. He can also play the right side too.
Not too bad for Martin either.
No, I mean, look, this is
for what he provides, not bad.
A low ceiling guy, but high floor.
Yeah.
I think too.
And I know, there's so many prospects in general in this pool to look forward to. A lot of sleepers.
Yeah.
A lot of sleepers that we've given credit to. Jordan Dumais, key among them.
To me, he's no longer a sleeper. Like, he's a headliner in this pool.
Yeah, he is.
In my opinion.
I think he definitely leapfrogged a bunch of kids after what he's been doing just this year.
Dumais, Luka Del Belbaluz.
Luka's looking awesome.
Kirill Dolzhenkov.
Dolzhenkov has had wow.
He has played in 35 games in the MHL this year, and he's now up in the KHL.
Right.
So 35 games. He has 14 goals and 19 assists.
Wow.
So 5 games in the K. He hasn't scored yet, but he's probably, I'd have to imagine, playing bottom 6 minutes. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, the KHL is a totally different beast from the M or the V over there, because those are the development leagues in Russia.
Yes, and
like the MHL is the equivalent of the AHL, correct?
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna see. It's gonna take him some time to develop over there. We're not gonna see him for a while, similar to how it took for guys like Kirill Marchenko, Kirill Kaprizov, Igor Shesterkin. Like, some of these guys take a while from
guys that were
MHL to going up to the KHL, getting
guys that were weirdly banking on like Ivanov, I guess.
Yeah.
Just speaking of the goalies, like Ivanov is probably the only, him and Tarasov are the only ones that we really have on our radar right now.
He's interesting enough. He has played in the V, M, and the K. His stats are worst in the V.
Really?
He's played in 11 games in the VHL this year with a .900 save percentage and a .318 goals against average.
Whoa.
But his 5 games in the MHL, he has a .933 and a .189. And then his 4 games his 4 games with St. Petersburg in the K, he has a 952 and a 127.
Wow.
So who
Jeez.
knows? It's gonna be interesting to see how he develops, but kind of funny how that's
Development leagues are so weird, dude.
yeah, they're definitely interesting.
They're so wild. We've spent so much time on this. It's just like we got to move on. But I mean, shout outs to the kids. I'm very excited to see what happens over the next few years and when they come up to the big boys and see how they do with us. You know, I'm very, very excited for your Czech disposal.
Very
They're going to
excited.
be amazing. And just like the World Juniors as a whole this year, this will be my last point. The few things that we've talked about with Hockey Canada being the big surrounding story,
As it should be,
around these World Juniors was just like, I don't know. We tried our damnedest to enjoy this tournament as it was, right?
Yeah.
And next year it's going to be interesting because it's going to be overseas again.
And we're gonna have more information on this case, obviously, by the time the next World Junior starts, as well as
Okay.
potentially other cases.
Here's the quote that I wanted to bring up to wrap this.
Oh God, I think I know what quote you're talking about.
You think? Yeah.
Oh, good.
IIHF President Luc Tardif on moving the World Juniors from Russia to the east coast of Canada this year. That was the best medicine for Canadian hockey and international hockey after this difficult year. Was it, Luke? Was it?
Oh God, I'm just. Oh God,
That is the most tone deaf piece of garbage.
For a league that upsets us as often as it does and disappoints us as often as it does, we sure do still get surprised when it happens. And I'm not sure why.
Well, that's for the NHL.
Yes.
This is for the international stage.
This is not just the NHL, and we've said this multiple. This is not just an NHL.
We know it's a culture issue around the whole sport.
This is just a hockey issue. Good Lord. This sport really lacks humanity.
Wow.
Yeah.
The best medicine.
Best medicine. Yeah. That is wow.
Don't get me wrong. Individual kids on that team had one hell of a tournament. Connor Bedard is he is not of this world at all.
He might, and I'm not saying he will. The idea that he actually might and could possibly be better than McDavid is genuinely terrifying.
Well, they're already lumping him in with Connor and Sid and Mario and Wayne. They're putting him in that conversation already. And it's
not even unrealistic. It's kind of like when everyone was like, hey, LeBron's going to be like the greatest player ever. And then he has a top 2 career of all time.
He just was.
It's amazing. We're lumping all these expectations on Connor Bedard, and I'm not going to be surprised when, not if, when he exceeds those expectations.
I want to give a shout out to Shane Wright too, because 7 points in 7 games for him.
Yeah, he did such a good job in that tournament that Seattle gift wrapped him back to the CHL.
I think that's the right move, though, and we can talk about that more on Tuesday. I guess.
I'll talk about that more on Tuesday, but I was just surprised by it that they did this late in the season.
I think it'll be good for his development overall. But we can go into that in more detail later. So the All-Star rosters.
Alrighty.
Let's talk about these fellas. So what they're doing this year is they announced during one of the intermissions between Columbus and Washington the other day.
Yeah.
The first 8 selections.
Mm-hmm.
One for each team again.
Yeah.
Right. And then they're doing this year what they did in 2016,
which was voting.
where everybody else on Twitter
Was
gets
like,
to
okay,
fan vote.
we are going to vote for John Scott.
Yep.
I'm so glad that they're bringing this back. Have we decided on a player?
Can we? Okay, we need to talk about the John Scott story for context really quickly.
It was just a fun story.
It was
One of my
such a
favorites.
great story. It's brilliant. So everybody, as a joke, voted in John Scott because John Scott, big enforcer, 6'8".
He's 6'8" enforcer who they never knew what his position was. He was a defenseman in college. He was a defenseman most of his career, and they were like, okay, but if you're an enforcer, we're just going to play at left wing. So, because you're just out here fighting guys. But he's a nice guy, funny personality, and
great dude.
kind of became a meme. And everyone was like, this is the perfect player to vote in.
So they vote him in as a representative for the Arizona Coyotes.
Yes.
At the which he was on at the time.
Yes.
The league
did not like this.
Because this is how they are.
Yeah.
They forced a trade. The league forced them to trade John Scott to Montreal and then immediately bury him in the minors.
Yeah.
So he couldn't be eligible to play.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't know if there was something with the collective bargaining agreement or something like that. Like, they couldn't do it. Like, even if he wasn't in the NHL, they still weren't allowed to overrule like a fan vote. He was still going to be in the All-Star game. And I think, didn't they offer him money to not do it?
Yeah, the league was so petty about all of this.
I think I maybe I'm misremembering this, but for some reason I felt like
something happened.
I think that they tried to make some sort of deal with him to not do it. And he was like,
really
no, I'm going to do it. I want to have fun. I'm going to go. I'm going to have a good time.
It was super scummy. The league trying to make this like just not be a thing.
Yeah. Take away the fun from people. And not just from like the fans who voted him, but from the player himself. And
he would love this.
Yeah.
And he went. He did.
He was the MVP.
He was the captain of the team. No, yeah. Was he not the captain of the team?
The captain.
He was the captain of the Pacific team.
Yes. He scored 2 goals.
And
one of them was like,
actually
was
really
like a
sick.
Nice snipe on a breakaway.
It was really sick. He has like a fun little fake fight with Patrick Kane, which was like one of the cutest moments in like all.
It was so fun.
It was super cool. And it's just like the one thing I will say, his jersey being unique, and standing out a little bit more, is kind of nice in retrospect.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he just wore one with the shield on it instead of whatever, repping his team or whatever. Because technically he didn't have an NHL team at that point.
No, and it was so much fun. I loved it. It was so much fun to see it. It was fantastic. And I'm glad that they're bringing this back because they needed, I think this league understands, they need to try and find a way to bring a draw back to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Because I think this has happened with just about most All-Star games. Nobody watches the Pro Bowl.
No.
Nobody watches the Pro Bowl.
No.
Ratings have dropped for the All-Star game, I believe, for the NHL. I think baseball and basketball are doing just fine.
Those two normally
they're engaging. Those are, the NBA is so well run. They do everything right.
Yeah, and then the MLB
and baseball, even though Manfred's a jackass, it's still baseball.
They make the All-Star game fun. The home run derby is always fun.
The home run derby is awesome, and baseball I think is the easiest sport to have an engaging All-Star game because it's not like a slow-paced basketball game with no defense, slow-paced hockey game with no defense.
You're just playing regular baseball, and
it's regular baseball, exactly. Like this, and
it has stakes.
The most, and it used to have the stakes of determining home field. They got rid of it, but they still got other things, I think, for money and whatnot,
prizes and things.
But yeah, they need to find a way to make the All-Star game engaging again, and I think they realized one of the most fun All-Star games was when John Scott was there and people were rooting for the guy and he did well. And who knows? Maybe something like this happens again. And if it does, let it happen naturally and
Unfortunately, Shane won't be eligible now,
he's still on the ballot.
which is the weird thing.
I think people might try and do it.
I know people might try to do this for Shane Wright, but it's legitimately like a rule that they can't with CHL clubs. It's like this whole weird thing
that's such a shame.
I know. I know.
Oh, good.
So what I want to do now is just go through the first 8 for everybody.
Okay.
We're gonna go west to the east, starting with the Central.
Yes.
Coyotes get Clayton Keller.
So these are already determined.
Yes, these are the first 8 players per division.
Okay, let's go.
Right. And let me just mention right now, 11 of these players, first timers, which is amazing.
Hell yeah.
Good for these kids.
Okay.
Clayton Keller for the Coyotes. Yeah.
Yeah, we can just speed run this.
Yeah. Okay. Seth Jones for the Blackhawks.
Okay.
Cale Makar for the Avalanche.
Duh.
Yeah. Jason Robertson for the Stars. Duh.
Oh, yeah.
Kirill Kaprizov for the Wild, of course.
Duh.
UC Saros for the Predators.
Duh.
Good on Juice. Tarasenko for the Blues. He's hurt.
Interesting.
So they're going to get a replacement for him at some point.
It'll probably be either Kyrou or Thomas.
One of those two, probably. It won't be O'Reilly because he's also hurt.
Yeah.
And then Josh Morrissey, first All-Star for Winnipeg.
Morrissey's been fantastic these last 2 seasons. I'm happy for him.
Good for Josh. Yeah. Going to the Pacific. Troy Terry for the Ducks. Yes. Love that.
Yeah.
Nazem Kadri for the Flames.
Oh,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Hell
that's
yeah.
Awesome. Love that.
McDavid for the Oilers because duh. Come on.
Who?
I know. Kevin Fiala for the Kings. Good pick.
Okay.
Good pick. EK65 for the Sharks because of course. Dude's on like a tear from like a 2017 like tear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's really turned back the clock. Matty Beniers for the Kraken.
Oh, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good for him. That's awesome.
Love that. Petey for the Canucks. Good on Pedersen.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not Horvat.
Really?
Little bit surprised it's not Horvat.
I was expecting JT Miller.
Right. But yeah, good for Petey. And Logan Thompson for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Thompson.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Logan Thompson for the Golden Knights. Love that.
That's cool.
I love it.
Yeah, he deserves it. As a noted from the beginning, Logan Thompson truther. I take great pride in this.
All right, we're going to the Atlantic next. You ready?
Yes.
Linus Olmark for the Bruins. Good pick. Really
great
good pick.
He's so good.
Your boy Tage for the Sabres.
Without a doubt.
Who are leading the NHL in goals scored?
Yeah, they're
what?
A freaking juggernaut offensively. No team is better at playing off the rush than the Buffalo Sabres.
Well, now that you called them a juggernaut, they're going to get shut out for the next, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This is the juggernaut curse.
No.
Dylan Larkin for the Red Wings, of course. And they've got some drama going on.
Did you have a doubt?
They got some drama going on right now.
With what?
Jake Vrana.
Oh. Did we talk about that?
We can talk about it Tuesday.
Oh,
probably.
For some reason, I thought we already talked about it, but
no, we haven't yet.
Yeah,
we could
definitely.
We can mention that Tuesday. Matt Kachuk for the Panthers.
Brady better.
Well, I mean, give me a second. Nick Suzuki for the Habs.
Okay.
Him or Cole would have been a great choice.
Yeah.
It's obvious between those two.
Right.
And good on Nick for getting it. Brady for the Senators.
Matt better.
That's going to be fun to see Matt and Brady getting to play together.
Yeah, it will be.
That's going to be really fun. Oh my gosh, how do I put this? the long-term man for the Lightning, Mr. Kucherov.
It's amazing what the Tampa Bay Lightning are so amazing because I had no idea. There's like 5 different names that could have been.
There's like 5 guys, right?
Yes. I was like, okay, it could be Kucherov, it could be Stamkos, it could be Point, it could be Hedman, it could be Vasilevsky,
it could be Sorelli,
it could be any of these guys.
It could be Nick Paul, it could be Brandon Higg.
Okay. Let's calm down for All-Star game conversation with those guys.
I mean, Nick Paul.
No.
I mean,
no.
Come on.
No. Unless we're putting him in the John Scott role.
Brian Elliott for the John Scott role. And my boy Mitchie Marner for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Love that.
Is Austin Matthews overrated?
Austin's gonna go. Willie should go.
I don't know if Austin's earned it.
Willie should go. He deserves it. Personally, I think he's.
I think Justin Hall should be there.
I know you do.
All right, let's see. Wonder who the Blue Jackets got.
Yeah, I know, right?
I have no idea.
Gavin Bayreuther, no.
All right, let's see.
Marcus Bjork goes.
Let's see for.
All right, the Metropolitan Division.
I'm sure Jack Hughes.
Well, for the Canes, we got Mr. Svechnikov.
Really, I would have expected Aho. But
nope,
you can't go wrong either way.
Andre's going. Good on Svech.
Okay, good for him.
Great for Svech. Obviously Johnny All-Star.
Yep.
Like, come on now.
Yeah.
This is his 7th All-Star game.
Wonder who the Penguins got.
This is Johnny's 7th All-Star game.
He's got plenty more.
Jack for the Devs. Jacques Hughes.
Figures. Yeah.
I would have loved to see Nico though.
Yeah, well, Nico's gonna go.
Nico or Brat, either of them.
Nico will go.
Hope so. Brock Nelson for the Islanders.
I hate the Islanders so much. Really. God damn, it's not even Barzell. It's freaking Brock Nelson. Good God.
His first one. Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers. Yeah. Kevin Hayes is going for Philly.
Not Carter Hart.
Not Carter Hart.
What?
Not Travis Konechny. Kevin Hayes.
Jesus, he got healthy scratched a week ago.
I know, and didn't Keith Yandel call him out for it?
Jesus Christ! Oh my
Keith Yandel was like, "Can you healthy scratch? Can you healthy scratch a coach?"
Oh God! What a freaking nightmare of a team!
It's so crazy.
Oh my Lord, that is so funny.
And then
Kevin Hayes.
Should I let you calm down, or can I finish?
Oh my! No, go ahead.
Go ahead. The 2 most obvious picks in the world.
Ovi and Sid.
Sid and Ovi. Yep. And Ovi might actually go this year.
So my buddy Aiden was at the game last night in Washington. Him and his girlfriend went down to DC for the weekend.
Yeah.
Right? And he wanted to check out a Capitals game. And they made the announcement on like the video screen that Ovi made it. And he said that they put the camera on him and he didn't realize the camera was on him. And he just go, fuck. I cannot express how much I love Alexander Ovechkin's disdain for the All-Star game.
Well, because I get it.
Yeah, I totally get it.
We get it.
Yeah.
At least for him.
For him, he's like, I had to do this shit again.
Well,
like,
okay.
I just want a weekend off, man.
So it's just like, for guys like Sid and a few of the veterans like that, Johnny, guys like Patrick Kane, maybe, for people that have gone so often.
Oh my God, yeah.
That there are guys that still do enjoy it.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
But it depends on your personality and how much you enjoy that stuff. Like I can't. I try not to judge like players, like any athlete or celebrity who gets tired and doesn't want to like sign autographs or take photos with fans simply because you deal with it every day.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. So I can't imagine that All-Star weekend is fun when you've done it 5+ times and you've got to go through all the photos and autographs and
Media
different
stuff
things,
and
media stuff around the weekend. Like it's gotta, like, in the middle of the season that's already very, very mentally and physically taxing.
yeah.
It's not a break. It's not.
It's just weird paparazzi and
Mm-hmm.
for someone like a Johnny,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna have a blast.
Yeah, I
Like,
think he genuinely enjoys that stuff.
and for it being in Sunrise this year, it's gonna be super fun.
And I think he's also excited about being able to do it his first time as a Blue Jacket too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be down in Florida. Nice sunrise. It's literally called Sunrise.
Yeah. Matt and Brady getting to play together is gonna be super fun.
Yeah, those two will for sure enjoy that. And there's gonna be a lot of people who enjoy this. Brock Nelson.
A lot of the
first time.
a lot of the guys that are first timers like Brock, like Kevin.
Yeah,
The kids, obviously, that are first timers, Jason, Tage.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. Tage Thompson's gonna have a hell of a time. Those guys are gonna love that.
Yeah.
Logan Thompson is gonna have a great time.
Logan's gonna have such a blast. Igor.
But I get
many
it for
guys.
these veterans. I don't judge on that because having been to an All-Star game weekend as a fan and seen how it kind of operates, I can understand after so many times
It's
being
just
in
messy
that spotlight and being
yeah.
not even just being an All-Star and being there, but being Alex Ovechkin.
Yes.
Like you're not just an All-Star, like someone people are saying, like, no, you were top tier. You're an A-lister in
yes.
this.
You're an S tier. You're
yes, S tier level person that people want to see, take pictures with.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's there's not a lot of break into it. You know, everybody I think kind of has this vision where it's like, oh, it's a nice weekend away and a nice place with a bunch of your buddies and stuff like that.
They try to make it look like that.
They try to make it look like that, but it's not as
because I know Vegas last year was, like
think. It's more mentally taxing than people think.
Yeah, and Vegas last year was a nice spin on it, getting fresh guys, getting the way that they did a lot of the skills comp stuff.
Yeah,
was
they
really
did
fun
different
and unique.
things. Yeah, I liked what they did with that. It was more fun. I'll give the league credit for that. I'll give him kudos for that.
The Bellagio thing was really cool.
The Bellagio was so cool. I loved that. That was
and the blackjack was really fun.
Yeah. So, at least I'll give them credit for that. They're at least trying new things and trying to make it more engaging and more fun. But players like him totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, this is Connor's 6th. This is
how many has Crosby been to? I can't imagine this is fun for Crosby either because his whole brand, his entire career has been being this private guy who kind of just enjoys being alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of unsure because I had that pulled up a little while ago.
Because he's missed a ton of All-Star games because of injuries.
Because I had it from last night.
Crosby is. Let's see.
This because they had it listed how many
8-time All-Star.
This will be 8.
So this is on Hockey DB, so this will probably be his 9th.
Okay.
Unless they updated it from 7 to 8. I don't know. I don't know if they've updated it from 7 to 8 or if it's at 8 and needs to be updated to 9.
Attendance. This is really taxing trying to scroll to find this. No, because that's just the Metro team list.
It's not that important.
I know it's not that important. But
he's been around 7, 8, or 9 times. It's been in that range. So, it gets old, right?
Yeah, I'm sure for guys like that, it gets really old, especially with what he wants to focus on now.
Yes.
Because now you have 2 things that are the primary focus for Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Winning another cup, breaking the record.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all he wants anymore. And of
Thankfully, he's
course,
already got his 1 cup, but a second cup would be great, right?
second cup would be pretty nice, wouldn't it?
Would be.
Especially for a guy like him.
Yeah.
And we're going to end the show talking about another really
Fantastic
good guy.
news.
Another really
Fantastic
good
news.
guy and a lot of really good news.
Yeah.
So the last show we had, we talked about all the initial story with Damar Hamlin and T. Higgins.
And
we put that up as a separate clip. We can link that. We talked about the updates like at the time when I posted the clip and how everybody was doing. And now we've gotten so much more positive. Like this hasn't even been a week.
Yeah.
And it's a miracle.
Absolute miracle. It's fantastic news for a great young man. That toy drives over $8 million now.
The toy drives over $8 million.
So awesome. This is the thing about things that are tragic events is they do unite people, and they've brought people together. And this is the really good news. It brought people together, and he's gonna be okay.
I donated 5 myself. Like immediately when my direct deposit went through, I was like, okay, yes, we're putting some money in this.
It adds up. People who think their money doesn't count, whether it be $5, $10, $2, doesn't matter. It adds up. And this is example of people coming together. It's an awesome thing. It's a beautiful thing. It shows that people can put their differences aside, and also just for this guy,
they can put their fandoms aside.
What a beautiful thing, right?
They could put rivalries and fandoms aside for half a second.
We could put our political affiliations aside. We can come together no matter what the event is. When people need to come together, people can do amazing things, and we can see the good in people.
So that's an update on the toy drive.
Yeah.
T's doing so much better.
This news isn't just great for Damar and for the people following it. One of the first things I thought of is what a relief it must be for T.
Yeah, he came in to some media availability smiling. He was, as soon as he heard the big news, which we'll get to the reveal here in like half a second, just a big smile on his face. He's so relieved that he's doing okay.
Yeah.
And Damar himself, I watched a bit of a live stream.
Yeah.
From the UC Medical Center. A couple of days ago when I was working on the clip of the initial discussion.
Yeah.
He's awake.
Yes.
He's awake. He is now officially off of his breathing tube.
Yeah.
He can breathe on his own.
He has FaceTimed with teammates. He's talked with people.
He initially could not speak.
Yeah.
So he had to submit original thoughts in writing. He was holding hands of family and doctors. So all of his neuro is recovering.
Yeah.
He even, like, one of the first things he wrote down was who won the game.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a little corny from the doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for saying. Nobody wanted to say it. Nobody had the balls to say it. It was. Don't get me wrong.
Well, okay. So the doctor says you won. You won the game of life. Right? That's the quote. That
is the quote. And all I could think of is like the actual game of life. It's like you cross first and you end up with the most amount of money. And you just have like Price is Right music playing in the background.
No.
It's like that's all I could think of.
I just, you know what? It made me think of some like cheesy anime or like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Like,
don't get me wrong, it's a great moment of him.
It's a good quote. It's like a good thing.
It is, but it was corny. And that's all I could think of.
So he writes that down. We go through that whole thing. Like, it was a brilliant moment through social media, especially over just like keeping track of it over Twitter and stuff. Yeah. Right. Was probably the biggest thing was just like everybody scrolling and waiting for updates and the anticipation of everything, right?
Yeah. And just seeing how those tweets would blow up the second that we get any shred of an update.
Yeah,
They'd have like tens of thousands of retweets within like 5 minutes because
especially from the Bills, from the league, from the Athletic.
Every team changing their profile pic.
Friends of ours, I know Neil did it.
Yeah.
And it's just like now that so much else has happened, the team over there at the medical center deserves so much.
The one I can't remember what his position was on the field. Denny Kellington, I believe is his name, who immediately came in and helped out with the situation.
One of the trainers.
One of the trainers, yeah. Pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah. And it's just amazing to know that now he can speak.
Mm-hmm.
He went on a FaceTime call with his teammates just to say, I love you guys.
Yeah.
And obviously he's still getting treatment. I'm sure
it's going to take time to recover.
Soon enough, he'll be out of critical if he's not already lifted out of critical.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's still so much work and tests that he needs done. Right?
Yeah.
Around the time of the live stream, he was still in critical condition. But all of his neurological signs and everything, all his vitals, he's just able to do a lot of things again. And that's great to see.
It is. It's outstanding. It's really good news. And it's to tie it into football and the playoffs.
We would be a little bit remiss to talk about Zach and his presser, relating back to the games for a minute.
Yeah.
We can get to that in a second, but go ahead with your point.
It's going to be nice as a really big football fan to be able to watch games this weekend and in the playoffs without this kind of black cloud hanging over everything. You know what I mean? It's nice not having to watch this with any sort of guilt feeling about still wondering about his condition.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing that he's going to end up okay in the long run is the biggest win here.
It is, for sure.
And there's winners in this with number 3 and number 85. Because they both know that at the end of it all, they're going to be fine. As people, as athletes. Right? Now, the downside to this, and I say this as a Bengals fan, is what's going on with playoff seeding.
They might do something neutral site, I believe, for the AFC Championship game. I think that's the easiest solution. The easiest solution to this is neutral site game. Just do it where the Super Bowl is.
Basically, Zach Taylor came out in a press conference to say, why isn't the league following its initial rules for this? I get that this was an unprecedented thing because they canceled the game. They're not making up Bills Bengals.
No.
Which is the right move in one way.
Right.
But to come in and say, we're only going to give you 3 scenarios where if this, and this happens, then it's Buffalo, Kansas City at a neutral site. If this, and this happens, then it's going to be Buffalo or Kansas City versus this team at a neutral site, which I believe is Baltimore. Cincinnati's only mentioned in the 3rd possible scenario.
Frankly, just to be totally transparent, I don't know enough about scheduling and the rules for the NFL to be able to contribute to that. I'm not sure.
Let me actually see if I can pull this up at some. Let's see. So no, I can't type where the damn. If this would. No.
I have a solution.
Wild card. Latest.
There's a very easy solution that people will not like, but has been proven to work before. A bubble in Toronto.
A bubble in Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a weird coin flip scenario, basically, is what's supposed to be what the plan is.
I like this. I like coin flips.
Which
one side is heads, the other side is heads. If it lands heads, the Bills have home field.
Oh, here's Zach's quote. As far as I'm concerned, we just want the rules to be followed. When a game is canceled, you just turn to winning percentage to clarify everything so we don't have to make up rules. There's several instances this season when a club is fined or people in our building are fined, and we're being told follow the rules, it's black and white, it's in the rule book. So now when we point out the rules and you're told we're going to change that, I don't want to hear about fair and equitable when that's the case.
I agree with him.
So he's calling out the league for basically.
Yeah, I agree with him in that sense. If they have a rule in place about how they want to do, like how they handle things when games are canceled, you shouldn't change it on the fly, because there's a reason
they
that
did.
you had it in the place in the first place. So if that's his complaint, I totally agree with him, and I think he's 100% justified in what he's saying.
It's just frustrating.
It is frustrating because you're relying on Roger freaking Goodell to do the right thing. So.
And he only half does the right thing when he's forced to.
Oof, half. You're giving him a lot of credit, aren't you?
I mean, yeah.
This is so. You're so half glass full, Jake. You're such a nice guy.
I try to be. Even when people don't deserve it, I try to be. So I am. But yeah, I think this was a fine show, and I definitely.
Just fine. I thought this was a really good show. I like this show.
Yeah, I like doing this show.
Yeah, this was fun.
I like hanging out with you.
How can we make this title about Kevin Hayes?
How can we make this title?
Oh, good. We're gonna have to figure this out. Once
I know.
Get off here.
But yeah, everybody, we have a weird schedule with today. Ooh. Like today's game's at 4. As we're recording this, the game is, at 4:00. Tomorrow's is at 5.
Hell yes.
So it's weird timing this weekend. Right? And then we get Tampa.
I'm going to make so much money betting against the Blue Jackets in the next 28 hours.
And then we get Tampa on Tuesday, so then you get another chance to make more money.
Oh, my God. Dude, they're going to make me so rich.
The next game that you could bet on them for is not for a week against Detroit.
Oh, I will still be betting against them.
I'm sure you will. Give me Fantilli or give me death, right?
Yep.
God. But yeah, I just want to give one more shout out to Damar Hamlin because, oh my God, what a warrior.
Seriously. Absolute warrior.
And the medical team for being friggin'
UC
heroes.
deserves so much credit. Everyone who was out there on the field, for the medical staff, the training staff.
All the fans that came out to the hospital.
The people just transporting him to the hospital, they deserve all the credit in the world. We're very appreciative for them, not just for that, but for everything else they do. To help make these games happen in the first place.
And for T as well, I'm so happy he's going to be okay mentally.
Yeah.
So, because that's one of those things that's going to stick with you for a really long time, right?
Of course, but him being able to make it out of this will help out a ton and really ease the blow on it. So
yeah, but
alrighty, what I got to do.
Yeah, I know, and we'll see y'all on Tuesday for the next one. Wednesday. You know, Wednesday
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.